Welcome, everybody, into a very special edition of the show. What is happening here? There's no Logan. There is one Jokic Joestar, a.k.a. Jack, friend of the show. We're going to be talking some movies today, which I don't think any of you guys ever could have seen coming. But I just have had a real itch to talk about the Oscars coming up this weekend. I've seen all the Best Picture nominees, so I was like, I might as well talk about this somewhere. And our friend Jack has also been enjoying some cinema, so we're bringing him on today. We're going to run through all of these nominees, give all our takes and whatnot. But Jack, it is excellent to have you here today. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm very happy to be here. If you guys
Let's go.
If you guys don't watch movies, lock in. I mean,
yeah.
Sports are fun and I get it. But like seeing a great movie in the theaters, holy shit. Unmatched feeling. Like walking out, it's like 11 and you're like the night's just cool and you're like, holy fuck, what a movie, what a story, man. Sports, it's fine. It's fun.
Hold on
I
a
love
second.
sports.
I don't know about turning against sports and all this. I think let's be pro sports, what we talk about the vast majority of the time, but also pro movies. But
I know. I just feel like sometimes you watch sports all night, especially basketball. Football will grind out a good game. Like if it's just like there's a bunch of games on, you can do a whole night of basketball and there's like one exciting game. And so it's not as stable as a movie, I suppose.
Very true. Very true. No, man, I'm a big-time movie enjoyer. I'm a big-time TV enjoyer. I just finished Beef, the limited series on Netflix. That was pretty good. And I saw you tweeted that just yesterday or the other day you watched the first Dune, correct?
I did, yes. We watched it 2 days ago, me and my girlfriend. I loved it. It was super fun. I didn't get to I wish I had seen it in theaters.
Yeah. I didn't see it in theaters either because it was COVID. I don't even remember the theatrical release. Like, I think it must have been brief because I remember watching it like pretty shortly after it came out, but just at home. But yeah, dude, it's an accomplishment when a movie is that good and it's like setup. It's like all setup. That's like a third of the first book.
That's what a lot of the tweets I saw about it were like. If you like, Dune 1 is like essentially an exposition dump for Dune 2, and it was I was like, holy shit, what the, like, I watched Dune 1 because all of the tweets about Dune 2 are like, this is a transcendent experience that you have to go see, and so I was like, fuck it, fine. And I loved Dune 1. It blew me away. It fucking rocked.
Really good movie. I've been a big Timmy fan. I will say he did a little bit of a ding to his legacy with Wonka. How does this affect Timmy's legacy? I don't think it's good. I don't know if you saw that. It was not a good movie. Most people liked it. I thought it was very bad. And people just give it points for being like whimsical, but it's like you have to do whimsical well, and that didn't. It was not creative.
Yeah.
But whatever. I'm going to get off Timmy's back because I am seeing Dune 2 tonight, actually, and I'm super excited. I love that director. I love Denis. He really doesn't miss.
I didn't realize how
stunning.
stacked his resume was. I didn't, because I knew he did Blade Runner, but then I checked, and Prisoners blew me away too. I love Prisoners.
Amazing. That's probably my favorite movie of his, but I really like Sicario. I really like Arrival. I really, really like Enemy. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't.
Really
I've heard a lot
movie.
About Enemy. It's like one of those, once you start looking at movies on YouTube, like reviews, people are like, Enemy's fucking weird, and
it is. Yeah, if you like one Jake Gyllenhaal, you'll love two Jake Gyllenhaals, and that's Enemy.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually. I do love one Jake Gyllenhaal. Shout out to, I wish we got to talk about him in these awards a little bit more. He's one of my favorites, but no big work from him this year.
He's doing that one war movie. I don't know what that really is. I haven't seen it, but he is in something this year. I don't know if it's come out or not. I just remember seeing some of the marketing for it. But yeah, unfortunately, no Jake Gyllenhaal this year. But we are going to be talking film, and I'm not talking about SGA's bag. But if you guys do want to watch about that, I did make a YouTube video about it yesterday. We're going to be talking about a different kind of shot selection today. Am I right, Jack? We're not talking about the mid-range. We're talking about why they go with a close-up there. Do I have any more?
Great. Oh, man.
I don't think I have any more. So we are going to run down most of the specific Oscar awards here. But before we get into that, do you have any movies that you saw this year that you loved, you really liked, that aren't really represented in the Oscar nominations here that you want to give a shout out to?
We're not going to talk about it here because I didn't see visual effects in our list. Godzilla Minus One fucking rocked, and I don't think it was like snubbed for a ton of things. It is nominated for visual effects, which is what I would assume it is like it deserves and is going to win for. But beyond that, I didn't see like a ton. I didn't get to see Past Lives. I heard May December was also really good, and I didn't get to watch that. I have the only snubs I have like category snubs, but as far as like movies, straight up like whole films that weren't represented, I don't have any of those.
May December I thought was pretty solid. I thought it was an interesting story in terms of the premise, and I thought that the performances were good. It was like a pretty unsettling yet very normal, realistic movie. So like I liked it. I wasn't really blown away by it. My favorite movie that is like not represented anywhere here is The Iron Claw. I don't know if you saw that. It's the movie about the Von Erich family with Zac Efron, where Zac Efron is like disturbingly huge, and it's so funny because if you look at these actual guys who were wrestlers, like he was just like normal muscular, the guy who Zac Efron is portraying, and he is so roided out. It's absurd. But that was a really great movie. I thought he totally got snubbed for Best Actor because Bradley Cooper, the bastard. I love Bradley Cooper, but what he's done with Maestro and the campaign.
I didn't even see Maestro. Everyone said it's terrible.
It is so much a level down from every other Best Picture nominee. Like, it's one of the worst movies I saw this year, genuinely. We can get to that later.
Maybe I'll lock in. Maybe I'll watch it just for that.
But the thing is, it's not fun bad. It is like the antithesis of enjoying like a hate watch of something, because it's boring, and the pacing is weird, and it's jumbled, and the entire focus of the movie is just on the relationship between Leonard Bernstein and his wife. It's pretty long, but it feels longer than it really is. But it's like you're doing, theoretically, a biopic or a biopic, however you say it.
It's biopic. You got it.
Is it? Because then sometimes I hear biopic, and I don't know.
That's well, it's a biography picture, so like exactly. I'm locking into biopic.
Okay, I like that. I agree. I prefer that. But it's all just about his relationship with his wife. And I don't know, his wife speaking in this absurd transatlantic accent the whole time. She's like, Lenny, Lenny, where's Snoopy? I don't know. It's not good. It's not good at all.
Hell yeah, that rocks.
Yeah, but like Zac Efron was legitimately awesome. And that movie is heart-wrenching, Iron Claw. Go watch that.
Well, that's why I didn't, the thing is, I love my brother. And so every time I thought about going to see it, I was like, do I just want to like fucking be so like, do I want to ruin my day?
I
was brave enough for a couple of these. I would have seen it if it got nominated, and I probably will eventually watch it. I'm just a fucking baby around sad movies, especially like the week it came out. I should have just pulled the trigger on it because I didn't know anything about it. And then the more that came out, people were like, this will fucking decimate you. I was like, okay, well, that doesn't really make me want to go see it, even though I know that's not like a real reason. I locked in. I overcame that feeling for Zone of Interest. That was like my worst, like just straight up feel bad movie this season. Yeah. And so I think Iron Claw, it's like a different kind of sad, obviously. Zone of Interest is like a way more sweeping scale of a story.
Sad.
But I didn't catch Iron Claw. I did feel like it got snubbed though. I thought it was going to get some shit when I saw the trailer.
It totally got snubbed. And I can't be that pissed about like most of the Best Picture nominees, because I thought this was a year where like 9 of the 10 nominees were legit good. Like this was a really good year for movies. Definitely the best since COVID, but just Maestro has no place there.
Fuck you, Bradley Cooper. I know you're listening to this. Do better shit, bro. You're above that.
He is. He listens to the show. Shout out. And I love Bradley Cooper, dude. Star is Born, love it. Silver Linings Playbook, love it. He even plays a role in classic comedy Wedding Crashers. Nails it. Like, he's the man. And I like his life story. Like, it's kind of uplifting. Like, you know, he's had some struggles, but he's overcome them. But then he's, like, doing this press tour, and he's talking about with Leonard Bernstein's kids. They're like, do you miss him? And he's like, oh, God, every day. He never met him. He's like, the last 6 years, I felt such a deep connection to this man. It's cringe, Oscar bait. Okay, couple more movies I just want to shout out. Priscilla, I thought, was really good. Especially, I don't know if you saw the Elvis movie that came out last year with Austin Butler, or 2 years ago. That shit was awful. Like, so bad. And just comical, for some reason, Tom Hanks is like the protagonist. I hate Tom Hanks. He's doing the worst accent ever.
You hate
like,
Tom Hanks? Just like straight up everywhere?
Tom Hanks is the most overrated actor of all time. I've never seen a Tom Hanks performance where I'm like, wow. I've never seen a Tom Hanks performance where I'm like, boy, only a few people could have done that. But I have seen some Tom Hanks performances where I'm like, that dude ruined the movie. Like, Catch Me If You Can, bro. He's doing the worst Boston
accent. You don't like
accent.
Catch Me If You Can?
Nah, dude. And I love Leo. When I was younger, I really liked it. And then I rewatched it, and I'm like, Tom Hanks is just like, we got to get a hold of this guy. Like, he doesn't even know what he's doing. And then in Elvis, he shouldn't do accents. Because in Elvis, then he's like, he's what? He literally sounds like Dr. Doofenshmirtz in that movie. I don't know. Are you a Tom Hanks defender? Are you a Tom Hanks stan?
I'm not gonna stake my claim on the Tom Hanks hill.
Yeah.
I feel like both of us, we didn't see like prime Tom Hanks. We're kind of viewing backwards through time.
This isn't Wilt though. It's movies.
Well, I'm just saying. Like, I don't know. I like Tom Hanks in Catch Me If You Can. I like Tom Hanks in fucking Castaway. I like Tom Hanks.
He's good in Castaway.
Castaway. When you say nobody could do it, very few people like. He's alone the whole time. I don't know. It's hard. But Castaway, Forrest Gump, I like. But I do understand he is very hammy a lot of the time, and like when he steps over that line, like there's even parts in like Saving Private Ryan where it gets like a little bit I don't know, like comical at weird times with him, just because he is like almost a goofy guy that gets placed into very serious roles a lot of the time. But I'm not a hater. I'm not like a true defender of Tom Hanks, but I like him in a lot of stuff. I think he's talented.
I think I'm probably the most anti-Tom Hanks person I know, so good to have a voice.
It's the first time I've heard that take. I will say that.
I think he's universally beloved. He's like America's father, but not mine. He is not my father. I will say, though, because I dislike him so much, I have avoided watching some of his best movies. Like, I haven't actually seen Saving Private Ryan. It's the one movie that I'm always like, I gotta watch this. But then, because I don't like Tom Hanks, people around me are like, you probably wouldn't like it that much. Same goes with, like, Captain Phillips. Like, I would like to watch that, but if Tom Hanks is going to carry the show...
That didn't really... I don't know. It's that never jumped out to me as like, I gotta fucking tune into this. But Saving Private Ryan's fun, even from like an outside perspective, if you don't like Tom Hanks, because you get like 5-minute roles from every famous person. It's very Oppenheimer-esque. Cool. Like there's a point where like who the fuck plays Shaun of the Dead? Is that Simon Pegg? He's just like
Simon Pegg.
Yeah, he's just like a private in the background for like 2 shots, and you're like, what the hell are you doing here? Like he has no speaking lines or anything. So it's one of those movies, but yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I like it.
I believe it. So all that to say, I thought Priscilla was much better than the Baz Luhrmann Elvis movie. Much more intimate and real, and it was just a really good story. I thought good perspective. And I do want to give a shout out at least to Asteroid City, because that got 0 Oscar noms, and I love Wes. I really like Wes, I guess I should say. And I didn't think that this was like his best movie, but I don't know. The fact that it didn't even get like production design or anything.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
It's so distinct visually, and it was still good. I do think his last couple movies, he's gotten a little big for his britches, a little pretentious in like they're both, I'm telling a story within a story, and it's like, why don't you just tell a story, you know? Like, this doesn't have to be a movie about a play. I don't know. It's just...
Yeah, when you look at his best work, when you look at, like, Grand Budapest Hotel and Fantastic Mr. Fox...
Yes.
Very, like... Grand Budapest, you're obviously, like, non-linear, and there's, like, timeline. You're jumping from the past to the future and everything. But, it's a lot more straightforward than like we're breaking into this radio play, and now like there's a bunch of different shit going on, and I don't know, I agree it wasn't his best movie, but I'm totally like production design that fucking shocked me. I was like, this is like, I don't know, that's like his whole thing a lot of the times is the production design. So yeah, that was crazy.
I really don't know how he could ever not get nominated for production design, but I agree totally. Fantastic Mr. Fox is number 1. Grand Budapest Hotel might be number 2. But, like, Rushmore is also amazing. I really like... Moonrise Kingdom. But like, yeah, it's, tell straightforward stories. He's got such a good ability to like capture the weirdness of people, and especially kids, in a way that's like very weird but feels authentic at the same time. So shout out to Wes. Didn't get a nom this year. I also, last one I will shout out, I did really like Saltburn. I know that there's been a lot of anti-Saltburn discourse, people who think it's like pretentious and whatnot and maybe a bit convoluted. I just really enjoyed it as a watch. I thought it was an enjoyable watch. It's also really weird, obviously, and there's a couple of just like grotesque scenes, but I thought in terms of just executing, like, here is innocent outsider coming in and, oh man, they're doing insidious things, climbing up the ladder, you social climber. I kind of always like that story mold, and I thought it was pretty good. So
I don't know, most of the non-Best Picture movies that I watched this year, in theaters at least, they were like old movies that got reran. I got to see Old Boy in theater.
Same.
I had no idea about the twist. That was the first time I ever watched Old Boy. Holy fuck. That was one of my favorite experiences in a movie theater ever. Like, that was insanely fun. But I also saw it's from 2022, and I was going to mention it on here because I thought it came out this year, but it was called Out of Darkness, like the caveman movie.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It was it's like 5 cave people. They travel across an ocean. They abandon their tribe because they want to go east, and the other people want to go south. And it's like mostly a horror movie about like something in the dark is hunting them. And the production design was insane, and they did this entire like new proto language for it that like they developed specifically for the movie and everything. And I was like, wow, how'd this not get nominated? And then I looked and it was out in 2022. So yeah, perfect. But yeah, that rocked. I didn't get to see.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't see Saltburn. I was on the fence about it, but
watch it with your family. Watch it with
I'll
family.
do that.
Any young cousins that you have will love it.
Perfect. I'll take that rec. I like that. My only snubs I liked Spider-Verse for score, and that didn't get put in for score. Killers of the Flower Moon didn't get adapted screenplay, and I thought that was pretty wild. And then the Milo Machado Grenier, the French kid from Anatomy of a Fall, I wanted him for supporting actor so bad, and he didn't get it, and so that made me. I get it because kids don't get nominated for stuff, but like we'll get to that in a little bit.
I think maybe if it weren't such a strong year for supporting actor, but it's a good year for supporting actor, man. Like, this is a loaded group. Like, it's mostly A-listers in the supporting category, all of whom gave like legit really good performances. But I shout out to that dude. Also shout out to Messi the dog. Where's his nomination?
Absolutely.
Now, where is his nomination? That guy stole the show. Shout out to Snoop. Electric. I guess we might as well start by talking about Anatomy of a Fall then, as we walk through these Best Picture nominees. I really, really, really liked that movie. What was your take on it?
Oh, I fucking loved it. I thought it was so good. It's giving Gone Girl a little bit, like similar vibes, kind of. That's what I thought. I said shout out to the child actor. It's it's hard to think of other phenomenal child acting performances with this one so fresh in my mind. Like, I don't have any written down here, but it's one of, if not the best, like, child acting performances I've ever seen. Just in terms of like an incredibly complex role that the movie does not function without. Like, it doesn't hit the same, because like it's one thing for us to not know whether she killed him or not, for that to be ambiguous, but to watch her child like adopt our position and be like, is my mom fucking capable of something like this? Like that. Oh, I loved it so much. I thought it was really fun. The courtroom scene was my big like nitpick with it. I thought it dragged a little bit, but I thought it was pretty effective. It like slows down. You're like, what's going on? And then you get to the argument that they replay on the tape, and that's like one of the scenes of the year. And it hits even harder because shit has slowed down a little bit. So I thought it was really good. If it wasn't such a stacked year for leading actress, I thought Sandra Hüller could have won. Like, that's a performance that in a weaker year could have won definitely, but with the other people in that category, it's not going to this year. But yeah, I fucking liked it a lot. What were your takes?
I loved it. And I know that she's not going to win, but if I had to pick someone, I think that I might give it to Sandra Hüller. Like, I thought that she was awesome. I thought that she really carried that movie in a way that, I don't know. I mean, Lily Gladstone, it just wasn't as specifically on her shoulders the entire time. I thought that she was great. And then Emma Stone in Poor Things was really good, but it's just a different kind of performance. You know, it's a bit more like caricature-ish, like playing sort of the childlike thing. I was just most compelled by Sandra, who also, crazy year for her being in Zone of Interest too. Shout out.
Crazy, just like
also speaking 3 different languages across the 2 movies.
Yes. Holy shit. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, that's fucking crazy, dude. Yeah, she I think, and she was relatively unknown before this year. Like those were 2.
To my dumb American ass, at least.
I mean, well, my girlfriend's a little bit more tapped into like the actors and actresses scene, and she was like, I've never fucking heard of this lady before, and so, I hope she gets more stuff in the future because she was so fucking good in this, and very much, it's a story that allows you to like project yourself in there a little bit more than something like Killers of the Flower Moon or Poor Things, which are very like you are on the outside looking in. Whereas with this one, it's like obviously we're not probably ever going to be investigated for the murder of our partner.
I hope not.
Fucking fingers crossed. That would really suck. But like it's easier to
dude.
imagine yourself like going through that and just being in any situation where you're like, well, this is what happened, but I was the only person that was there, and I have no proof to support it at all. And so, It was holy fuck. That movie blew me away. And yeah, shout out to the dog as well. Shout out Messi.
Shout out to Snoop, bro. He killed it. I thought the performances were amazing. I thought it was the best written script of the year. Like, I thought that it so effectively captured just like the rhythm and the realism of dialogue that we actually have in the real world, but it also hit like every point necessary, right? Every ebb and flow in terms of, okay, what is your perspective on whether or not she did it was so well done. And I really liked the courtroom stuff. Like, I thought that was another thing that was incredible about what this movie accomplished is like the different phases of it where you have like sort of a like whodunit vibe, right? Where it's like, okay, we're trying to get to the bottom of this mystery. And then you have the very compelling human element of her feelings about it, her relationship with her son changing, all of those things. You have obviously the reveals of like the dynamics with her husband and the fight scene that you mentioned. And throughout, I was just like riveted. And I know that it's not like the biggest, boldest movie this year, right? In terms of scale, it's not Oppenheimer or Killers of the Flower Moon or even Poor Things, but I really think I enjoyed it the most. Like, I just loved that movie. I was just gripped end to end. And I thought it checked really every box of what I'm looking for. So, big Anatomy of a Fall fan here. Big Anatomy of a Fall fan. But you also just watched Oppenheimer, I know.
I did, yes.
So, what were your thoughts on that?
Okay, Oppenheimer, right off the bat, like, this is the movie that's going to sweep. And I get that. And, like, it's the most telegraphed thing of the year, and it deserves it. And I understand how people call this the crowning achievement of Christopher Nolan's career. Like, really just kind of the culmination of everything that he's done. I'm upset that I only watched it one time so far because I feel like the last hour hits harder when I understand what's going on a little bit more. And that's on me. I'm a little dumb when it comes to, like, you need to know all of these names. You need to know Borden and what his job is, and you need to understand why he's investigating and why Robert Downey Jr. and Cillian Murphy have this beef that kind of, like, causes him to, like, do all these morally awful things.
Right. And who's this Albert Einstein character?
Yeah.
Where'd this guy come from?
Exactly. Holy shit. He's not even a famous actor. How am I supposed to feel anything for this guy?
Can't identify him.
But yeah, I loved the first 2 hours. The first 2 hours were exceptional, and I understand how the final hour is probably a little bit more climactic on a rewatch, and you could still definitely feel the craft of everything. You could feel how talented Robert Downey Jr. is in his performance in that last hour. That's where he really shines. You could, like, I don't know. just, it was still an incredibly well-made movie the whole way through. But that last hour, it just didn't like hammer home the same way the first two did for me. And it also felt 3 hours long. I will say that. Compared to something, I didn't think Killers of the Flower Moon felt that way. I thought the pacing was a little bit more steady, and I walked out of the theater like I didn't even have to use the bathroom, really. I was like, whoa, that didn't feel like 3 hours. Oppenheimer, you felt all 3 hours of it. What did you think about it?
Man, you hit on a lot of my key points there. I totally agree in terms of the last hour dragging, and I didn't think that it added that much to the movie. Like, I understand that we need to see sort of a conclusion of Oppenheimer's arc, the consequences in like his own life, but I was just so much more compelled by, you know, what he is like a seminal historical figure for, and him grappling with all that. And like, I mean, the scene where he's walking through and he's just like witnessing all the nuclear fallout in his mind, right? And everybody around him is dying. Like, that scene was perfect. I thought that was masterful. And it's like, I feel that if they had ended closer to that point, a little bit closer to like the emotional apex of the movie, then like it might have been my favorite movie of the year. It's still up there because there's so much that was so impressive. I thought it was like an all-timer score, and I thought that that really like set the emotional tone for a lot of these moments in a way that's super impressive to be able to do with a score. I thought the performances were fantastic. I mean, obviously the cast is ridiculous. Like, it's one of those movies where you're just like, oh my God, Casey Affleck is in this all of a sudden. Matt Damon's
he was
in
scary,
this all of a
dude. That was one thing that really jumped out to me. He was terrifying in that movie.
Yeah, no, he really was. Very, very ominous figure. And Cillian, dude, I love him, and he was amazing. I thought the emotional weight that he carried, he just embodied the guy. I thought that he was fantastic. So there was a lot that I loved about Oppenheimer, and I'm a huge, huge Christopher Nolan guy, dude. Like, so many of my favorite movies of all time. The Prestige, Memento, Inception, Interstellar. Like, it's hard to find Christopher Nolan movies that I don't really like. Even like an Insomnia. I really, really like that movie. But this to me was more kind of like middle of the pack Christopher Nolan. Like, I didn't watch this and think, wow, that's the best thing that he's ever done. I get that maybe it's the biggest thing that he's ever done. Although, I don't know, like Interstellar, Inception, those things are pretty big too. I thought it was really good. I do agree. Like, this is going to sweep a lot of the awards. But what you say about Killers of the Flower Moon, man, like, that's the thing. That movie is even longer, and it just moves. It so consistently moves in a way that this one kind of lulls for a bit.
Yeah. And I also, like, I understand not showing us, like, the Japanese perspective on the consequences of the atomic bomb, but I do feel like that last hour also takes away from, like, just the emotional consequences in its entirety. Like the last hour, you don't really touch on, like, oh my fucking God, what have I done? Like, this is like we are living in a world that has been completely changed pretty much because of this person. The last hour, it shifts more to like bureaucratic consequences for it.
Like, is the most interesting thing about J. Robert Oppenheimer, like, whether or not he was a communist, you know, like, and what his intentions in terms of his allegiance to America was and all the stuff that they're investigating? It's like, not really. It's the fact that he's responsible for the death of millions of people. Yeah,
but I mean, at the same time, I like Interstellar more, absolutely. I haven't watched The Prestige in a good long while, but I loved it the first time I see it. Yeah. I didn't think this was better than Interstellar, but it had its moments, man. The bomb scene lived up to all of the hype. I will say that. Like, when you say an all-time score moment, like, the 5 minutes, like when Josh Peck hits the button and he's like 20 minutes till the bomb explodes, and it, like, the score just, like, it starts creeping, and like I was tense that entire time up until, like, they started applauding and everything. And so that was it had its moments. It had incredibly high highs, and I understand, and I'm happy that Christopher Nolan is going to get an Oscar for this, but I like some of his other movies more.
Agreed. I also didn't even mention Dark Knight, which I think is up there. Like, that's one of his
Oh,
best.
absolutely, yeah.
I love that movie. That's, like, by far the best superhero movie ever to me. It's, like, not even a superhero movie. It's a different
Shout out to The Incredibles.
Genre.
Honorable mention, The Incredibles.
Yeah, shout out to The Incredibles. Same vibe between the two of them. I love Christopher Nolan.
Actually.
We're basically the same thing. So I'm happy for him as well. And, like, this was a really, really good movie. And I haven't seen it in, like, 9 months or 8 months. You know, I saw it in July when it came out. So I'm not as close maybe to some of those, like, highs that you did feel and, like, how it kind of stuck with you for a couple days. But I agree. The build up to the bomb, like, it was a fantastic movie through 2 hours. And then I thought kind of lost it a little bit in the third act. Okay. I guess I'll just open it up to you because I don't know exactly what you've seen. What's another Best Picture nominee that you want to get some takes
Okay, the
off
only
on?
ones I didn't see were Past Lives and Maestro this year.
Okay, perfect.
We can get to a polarizing one. Let's get to Barbie. I'm interested.
Let's do it, yeah. Let's do it.
Because, like, I know I hate women and you hate women. So like,
somebody
this is
had
be
to
fucking,
say it.
This is gonna
Thank
be a
God.
fucking layup, baby. Oh my God. No.
We were talking about Best Actress, and I'm like, why don't we just make a second Best Actor, dude? Give it to the French kid. Come on.
Oh hell yeah, bro. I loved Barbie as the movie of the summer. I loved, like, the first time I saw Barbie, I was like, this was so much fucking fun. Like, this rocked. And then it happened. It had its moment, a la the Avengers, a la every other movie of the summer.
Yeah.
And then people are like, why isn't this sweeping the awards? And I was like,
I know.
I was never under the impression that is what we were going for with this movie. That's never what it felt like to me.
This Mattel-funded movie.
Yeah,
isn't
like,
winning
what the
every
fuck is
Oscar.
going?
What a
Like,
shocker!
show me any other Best Picture nomination that has, like, the Chevy car chase scene in it, or anything close to that level of, like, commercial pandering. Not to mention the fact that, like, it's all for Mattel toys, but just, like, holy shit.
G.I. Joe movie snubbed. Super Mario's movie this year snubbed. I'm kidding, of course. It's way better, but
like, I did love, there was a lot of it I loved. I thought Margot was really, really good. I thought Greta Gerwig fucking blew it out of the water in terms of, like, crafting a world that is essentially the main character in the story.
Yeah.
Like, Margot does a good job being Barbie, especially in the real world. That's where, like, the character starts to shine a little bit.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like, the movie is often carried by, like, it's the toys, it's the stuff that you know, and it's in real life. Yeah. And Greta Gerwig did a phenomenal job with that. And also, Margot Robbie was originally on as a producer before she took the Barbie role. And so she, like, that's almost her main contribution to the movie, or, like, one of the primary ones that she made. So for people to act like no Best Actress, no Best Director is just, like, fucking nothing for this movie, I was kind of surprised by that. I liked it. It's not like Anatomy of a Fall level craft. It's nothing like that. So yeah, what did you think about Barbie?
I feel like it's as good as a movie that is about a toy and a product could be. Like, I think that level of innovative storytelling and taking something where it's like there's no universe, right? There's no IP, there's no real premise. Like, it was really cool to make a genuinely creative story out of that, one that I thought had a lot of heart, that had obvious intention and a message behind it, but was also really legitimately funny. And I think when you're looking at, like, production design, Barbie's a no-brainer for me. I'm not sure if I can think of a movie that is that visually distinct in that way, right? Where it's like, this is something that we're familiar with. I mean, it's like if you put Toy Story in live action, like it actually is, but it felt so, like, normal. I don't know. You were just so immersed in that world. I thought that was really, really cool. And I thought the Goss stole the show, man. I thought that he was great. I thought that he was really, really funny. And I know that some people were like, "Oh, this is a man-hating movie," and they got all pissed about that, which really you can't be surprised by. I did not feel that way. I felt like all of the jokes, I mean, at least that I can remember. Again, I saw this. I did Barbenheimer, so I saw both these movies, 8 months ago.
Respect.
Hell yeah,
I couldn't do it 3 hours. I saw Barbie and I was like, I'll fucking die if I watch Oppenheimer right now.
Dude, it was fun, and it just fired me up. It just fired me up that there was like an event like that in movies, you know? I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to participate in that. I still love going to the movies. I'm probably at the movies like every other week.
Are you a Snubs member? Are you locked in?
Dude, I'm not, which is so stupid. I don't know why I'm not a Snubs member. I'm
I
probably
promise,
losing so much value on that.
The second you do it, you will feel so fucking stupid for not doing it the entire time. It's the best value of like any subscription service I own. But keep going. Sorry.
I believe it, dude. No, I look at them and they're in their special line, and I just shake my fist at them, and I'm so resentful. The Snubs members. The thing is, I don't always go to AMC's. Like, we have a really cool theater near us. I mostly go to AMC though, but I don't know if they're on the East Coast at all. They're called Alamo Drafthouse. Fantastic theater.
I don't know if they're over in where I'm at, but where my hometown, I'm from Nebraska originally. They have them there. I'm pretty sure they have a service like that too, like Snubs. But regardless, Alamo, it's almost a better viewing experience. Like in terms of consistent quality, Alamo fucking rocks.
Dude, I love it. I love it. That is a place that respects movies, man. And you can get yourself a nice meal while you're there. But anyways, Barbie, really good. But yeah, just not necessarily an Oscar caliber movie. I don't know. It's like you said, I don't think that there was that level of craftsmanship. I don't know if there was that level of complexity to the performances. Like, it was made to be an accessible, fun summer blockbuster that also has something to say. And it accomplished all of that, but I don't know if it's as layered as like Anatomy of a Fall or Killers of a Flower Moon or these other movies. But it was fun, it was funny, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I will say also, like, in terms, it did get a lot of criticism. Obviously, the America Ferrera monologue about like that is not good writing. But in terms of like you said, a blockbuster delivering an important, accessible message in like a way that people are gonna get. Like, not everybody has like really sat back and thought about how absurd and difficult it is to be a woman in this day and age. And so like, it is a pretty milquetoast take, but I do respect that they put it out there nonetheless. Like, it's nice. Avengers didn't have anything like that. Like, most blockbusters say nothing. So the fact that you say anything at all, and you say it in a pretty important direction, that's fine. Like, I think that got a little bit too much hate, although the America Ferrera monologue was not good.
Yeah, it's obviously too much, right? It's too much and too on the nose, I would say. But it wasn't awful. And, like, I agree. I think the content was obviously geared in the right direction. I just think America Ferrera sucks as an actress, dude. I think that she's bad in everything I've ever seen her in. Like, straight up, I cannot believe that she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Like,
no, that shocked me.
She's just not good, dude. I don't know. She's flat to me. There's certain people who just deliver their lines, and you're like, that's not how people talk. And that's how I feel about her. Dumb Money I watched. I thought she sucked in that. I thought that she sucks in Superstore, that dumb show that she's in, which, like, to be fair, she's not working with, like, great writing there and whatnot, but anti-America Ferrera here. Can I get you on the train with me?
I mean, okay. Yeah, you
Tom
can.
Hanks and America Ferrera, they suck.
Like, I don't know. I just, her character was bad. It was not a good, like, character. And, in terms of, like, memorable shit that happened to or as a result of her actions, I don't remember very much from the movie in that regard. Like, nothing sticks out to me. It's like, oh shit, remember that scene with her besides the monologue. And so like, supporting like that fucking shocked me. I was like, I don't really get that at all. Like, I walked out of the theater immediately after Barbie, and I was like, that was one of the weaker points of the movie. Was not just her performance, which I didn't like, but her character in general was just like fucking flat.
It's very strange that she got a nomination, because it's like, I don't look at Margot or Greta and go into a rage about like how they got snubbed, because it was a really strong year. Like, I'm fine with both them being left off. I definitely don't think either of them deserve to win. So at that point, it's like, I'm not going to be super outraged. But for her to get nominated was a little bit strange. But some fun little cameos in this one too. I love Michael Cera. I'm always going to enjoy a little Michael Cera. Will Ferrell, not his best work, but I still thought, relatively funny. So it was good. Barbie was good.
I was gonna say the Sublime joke where Gosling, she's like, "I'll go on a date with you," and he goes behind the wall and he goes, "Sublime."
Dude, that was so funny.
That's probably my hardest in theater laugh of the year. And what killed me, it did not land for anyone else in the theater.
Really?
So I lost it, and it was dead fucking silent for everybody else.
Oh my God, dude, thank you for bringing that up. I died at that as well. That is, I don't know, dude. Diction is like so important to like making anything funny. Like you can just say, it really doesn't matter the context. Like if you just say a word that even can capture the sentiment, but it's just a funny word, man, that shit's killer. Killer. That was the funniest line of the movie. I love that. And I mean, Gosling, dude, he was just hilarious. He was Ken, and I thought he had the best lines. I thought he had the best delivery. And
also, shout out to she thinks I'm a fascist. I don't even control the railroads or anything like that. I liked that. I liked that line a lot too. That was a good one. I'm trying to go like quality upwards to where we already talked about Oppenheimer off. Let's do American Fiction. What do you think about that?
By the way, that is fantastic how you just made this your podcast in about 30 seconds. You changed the topics, then you asked me what I thought. I liked American Fiction. I did think that it was one of the weaker Best Picture nominees, but I loved the premise. I thought that was really fun, and I thought that the main storyline was really well executed. Honestly, I thought that the performance from Jeffrey Wright was really good. I thought that it was well written. Where it kind of lost me just a little bit, where I wasn't gripped, was in some of like the secondary storylines. I don't know, like some of the stuff going on with his mom and his brother. Like I get that we're sculpting like a whole person here, and like the entire context of their life is obviously very central to the story. His romance felt a little bit shoehorned into me. It kind of felt like they did a really, really good job with the main storyline, the premise of the movie, which is, hey, struggling black author is going to basically exploit white America's stupidity and write this book that he thinks awful and it's going to do great. Like, I really enjoyed that storyline. But as an overall movie, I thought it was good, not great, because some of that stuff on the periphery just, like, I didn't think that they nailed.
Okay. I don't know. I only saw it once. And none of that stuck out to me as like huge flaws when I watched it. Most of like the other stuff, his mom struggling with her like whatever cognitive disease that she had contracted. His brother kind of like I thought though, like I really liked the brother in terms of like a like complex gay character. I thought he was like really solid in like the shit that he was going through. I didn't get like a ton of that, but at the same time, just in terms of like overall movie, this is not like if it was a 5 movie category, I don't think American Fiction makes the cut this year. But like I'm happy to have it at like 8th on this list.
Same.
Like I had a really, really good time. I almost bought my mom the book for Christmas because she would have loved my pathology in the movie. She would have eaten that shit up, bro. And so shout out to Jokic Joestar, bro.
Retitled to Fuck, lest we forget.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Fuck, and then it still went through. The main story that rocked. It was fun. It was really good. It's interesting. It's not interesting. I'm trying to think of the right word. We are kind of the book critics, like
bro,
us
that's
two white
exactly
people right
what I
now.
was thinking.
Like it's
that's
hard
exactly
to
what I
talk
was
about
thinking.
it as you and me because it's like, the experience of the black person in America and how you can capitalize on your race and stuff like that. And
so profound.
It says a lot. It says a lot that like we can't. Not only shouldn't, but can't offer insight into. And so it is it's not hard to talk about because there's so much other stuff going on that's done at a really high level. But it did, like, even when I was walking out of the theater, I was like, fuck, that's like an interesting dynamic that I'm like wrestling with inside of myself.
It's so funny. It is genuinely so funny. Like, that thought is kind of inevitable. You're like, damn, here I am laughing at the stupidity of the white consumer when it comes to, like, black content. And then it's like, are my takes on this good? Are my takes on this dumb? But I did think it was good. I guess, like, I don't mean to rag on like the secondary storylines because I thought that they were all fine. I wasn't at any point like, oh, this is poorly done. There was nothing bad about the movie. It was just sort of the combination of that stuff being okay. And then it's like you said, like the movie just didn't reach the highs of most of the other Best Picture nominees, right? In terms of comedy compared to the other movies that tried to be funny. Poor Things was funnier. I think Barbie was funnier. Like this movie was like sort of middle of the road, kind of funny. And then when you're talking about like the emotional highs, I mean, there's just a different level of scale with like Anatomy of a Fall, with Oppenheimer, like all these movies. So it wasn't so much about, okay, these secondary storylines are dragging it down. It was just the totality of the experience was good, but not as high ceiling as some of the other ones out there.
It did not stick in my brain the same way most of the other movies here did. Like
Agreed.
Anatomy of a Fall, Oppenheimer, Holdovers, Zone of Interest especially. Like those I thought about for a long time. Didn't really think back on American Fiction all that much.
Agreed. Let's talk about Holdovers, though, because I should have mentioned that when we're talking about funny movies. That one had some big hits, man. What was your take on it?
If I had my way, Holdovers would sweep, bro. If I had
that.
my fucking way. And it doesn't deserve to. Like, it doesn't. I get it.
No.
And, like, Cillian Murphy, he had this, like, massive thing sitting on his shoulders and all this shit. But, like, I loved the Holdovers so much. And I sat down and I tried to look at it through, like, this lens that we've talked about all the other movies through, where it's like, oh, the themes or like the craft of it. The craft is so understated. It's like they set out to make a movie that like viewers would be like, they don't make movies like this anymore. Like that,
Literally.
it doesn't feel like Nolan with Oppenheimer or anything where it's like, we're gonna fucking blow you away. It's just like, we want the grainy film, we want like the fun zooms on the guy shoveling snow, we want just like all of that quaint old shit from like a classic fucking 80s movie like that. And it was so good. Paul Giamatti, I love him so much. I immediately rewatched Cinderella Man after I watched The Holdovers because I love his performance in that movie so much. He's so good in this. Dominic Sessa coming out of nowhere to go like bar for bar with Paul Giamatti in this movie in a role that like all three of these roles, because Davine Joy Randolph, like she like all three of these roles have to work for the movie to be good, and they all are like flawless, damn near. It's a phenomenal movie. I loved it so much. What did you think?
I really, really liked it, dude. And I mean, you captured the cliche, but like they really don't make movies like this anymore. And like it's a very fun and kind of nostalgic experience because of that. But it was also just executed so well. It had so much heart. I mean, the relationship between like all of the key characters, between is it Divine or Davine Joy Randolph? I don't know. Do you know?
Let's just side with Davine now.
Let's go with Davine. We'll go with Davine for now. I thought that her relationship with Paul Giamatti's character was like really, really compelling, felt very authentic. I thought that obviously the arc between him and the boy was fantastic. And I will say, the little guy, I thought there were some points early on where he was like angsty to the point where I was kind of like, all right, settle down, freak. But like he definitely won me over by the end. Like I thought that was a great relationship. I'm always going to be a sucker for a relationship like that. Sort of a combo of like coming of age with adult man who has nothing and is always going to be hostile and, oh, I hate everyone and everything, coming to terms with like, you know, oh, I love this little guy. Like,
this
I'm always
is Jalen Brunson
that.
and Tom Thibodeau. That's the dynamic that we're talking about right now.
We're talking about a Brunson and Tibbs dynamic. That's what I want to see on the big screen. And I will say, when you talk about the sublime line, dude, like what I was trying to hit on there is like comedic diction and the vocabulary of a character, especially when it's consistent. Like, I'm just a sucker for that too, dude. And there are some lines in this movie, like he calls him a troglodyte. He talks about his loins burning white
Do not
hot
cross
and how
the
the
Rubicon,
details
baby.
of curl his
That's
toes.
in my fucking vernacular now. Do not cross the Rubicon, bro. Like, dude, that's like, crazy.
Stuff like that, I just love it. I love it. And in some ways, it kind of reminds me of like the funny old dudes who I know where like their vocabulary is just like of a different time. And you're like, That's awesome. Like, I just love that shit. So, I thought it was really, really good. And I don't really have any criticisms. Looking back on it, I think that movie also ages like fine wine in the mind because, like, the good vibes just kind of stay.
Came out at a perfect time, too. Like, seeing that, I saw it the week of Christmas.
Christmas movie.
Like, it's the most rewatchable of the noms. I feel like easy. Put it on at Christmas time every year.
Totally.
Like, you will have a great time. It's so much fun. It also subverted a lot of my expectations just in terms of like, so you see the trailer and you're like, okay, these two guys get snowed in with each other the entire time. It's kind of like a one location situation. Then you get to the movie, you spend like the first third of it with this whole group of kids, and then you spend the next third of it with this Davine, and like she wasn't in the trailer a ton. Like, it felt like she was bigger in the movie than I expected her to be, in a way that was like a really pleasant surprise. And then you spend the last third of it like it's not a one location situation anymore. Then you get to go around Boston and do all of this super fun adventurous stuff. Like, it was a lot of twisted. Like, I felt like the marketing showed you enough in a way that they don't do anymore. Like, if they release a trailer for this in the modern sense, you know that her son went to the school and is fucking dead. You know that going into the movie. And so for them to not reveal shit like that, it made everything just like emotionally work a lot more. And I really enjoyed that about it.
Great take. Great movie. I don't have that much more to say. Like, the only reason I don't think it's best picture winner caliber is, I don't know. There were just a couple of these more serious movies that I feel like did reach these higher highs of intensity, and obviously, like, these movies are trying to do entirely different things. And I think the fact that you can make a feel-good comedy and have it nominated for Best Picture at all, like, that's an accomplishment, because that's not typically the sort of thing that's going to get acknowledged in this sense. But yeah, dude, Paul Giamatti, man, he makes a case for Best Actor.
He does. He does. And, like, everything's working against him in terms of, like, drama and seriousness of the role and comedy and everything, like you said, and how the institutions respect these different things. But, like, dude, he's so good in it. There's really nothing else to say. Like, he just fucking nails it every single scene that he's in.
He does. He's fantastic. The emotional beats nails them. The comedic beats nails them. Just, like, really is that character the entire time. And I long for good comedies, man, because the feds are after you, buddy. Don't think I didn't notice that. It just, like, doesn't happen anymore. Like, it's something that people in Hollywood and all that talk about all the time, like how they don't make comedies, but, like, they really, really don't. And, like, even this year, like, a couple of the theatrical comebacks, like Jennifer Lawrence's raunchy throwback 2000 style comedy, No Hard Feelings, it was okay. Like, I was happy that it got made, but
damn, I'm so.
Are you gonna need
like
to
the
go on the
third,
run, man?
I live next to a hospital, to be fair, but like this is like, that was a fire truck. What the fuck is going on out there, man? Like, I don't know.
Chaos.
Dude,
This city needs a hero.
But I'm on board.
Suit up, pal.
No, I'm busy. I'm talking about cinema, bro.
You're talking about cinema. You're talking about film. By the way, I should have mentioned this off the top, guys. All of my opinions are more important and valuable than yours because I am a registered SAG member. That's right. That reveal's coming in an hour into the show. Yeah. I've hung out with these Hollywood types. I've been on a movie set once. I actually am a registered SAG member.
He went to Epstein's Island, everybody. He was there.
I was not there. I was not there. I do not know Ghislaine.
Strike that from the record.
Strike that from the record. Yeah, go ahead. Ask me. No, go ahead. Ask me about my SAG membership. Go ahead. Just whenever
Does it
you're
cost
ready.
money?
Just ask me about it. No, I actually don't know if you have to, like, renew it or something. Then I'm not in it. But crazy story. I used to do a tennis podcast, and this director reached out to me. Funnily enough, I would post these episodes to Reddit. He DM'd me on Reddit, being like, hey, I make movies produced by the Russo brothers, like, you know, the guys who make the Avenger movies.
What the fuck?
Crazy, but, like, super small scale. Like, what he does is very small scale. You wouldn't have heard of any of his stuff, but it's produced by the Russo brothers. They really like him. And he's basically like, I really like your presence in your show, and, like, I think you could be a fit for something I'm making. And I was like, all right, hell yeah. And, you know, of course, my parents were certain that I was going to have my liver harvested and whatnot, but I went to LA. I was in this movie. Also, right before the movie. I didn't know when I was going to get called there. I got an accidental buzz cut. What happened was I waltzed into the barber shop, and, you know, I'm a simple creature at the end of the day. Back home, I would go to the same barber shop, and, like, I guess they had a different system of doing things, right? Like, they didn't just have razor length. They would have, like, you could say, all right, I want a number 4, and that would be an actual haircut, you know? Like, I feel like old-fashioned. I feel like that's how they used to do it back in the 50s, maybe. And so I waltzed into this different barber shop, and they're like, what do you want? And I'm like, I'll get a 4. And he's like, oh, wow, you haven't had your hair cut in a while, huh? And I was like, yeah, I guess not. And guy just shaves my head off. I was also oblivious to it. I didn't even realize I was getting buzzed until he presented me like the hand mirror. And he was like, we were just talking about the Suns. We were having a high old time. And he was like, how's it looking, boss? And I was like, looks great, man. You know, tipped him generously and then went on my way. And then the next day I get an email being like, hey, can you come to set this Thursday or whatever? And I did it.
Oh, my God.
I went there. The director literally said, what happened to the cherubic young boy on, like, the tapes? Because, like, I sent him an audition thing. But he said he liked it. He said he liked it. But can I be honest with you, Jack? I'm very worried that I've been cut from the movie or that the movie's never going to come out. Because this was 3 years ago. This was a full 3 years ago. And I don't know. I asked him, like, a year ago, like, hey, man, how are things going? And he was like, oh, just working on some sound stuff. And, yeah, I don't know.
Well,
anyways.
if it ever drops, let me know, and I'll keep an eye out. I'll keep an eye out for bald Carson. And that's a fun little cameo. I'm dead.
I know, dude. My mom tells me that it ruined my chance at ever making it on the silver screen. The fact that I'm going to be abhorrent to look at with no hair. But, you know, Logan lives like that most of the time. Hey-yo! Okay.
Hey-yo.
All right, enough about me. Let's talk about Killers of the Flower Moon. What was your take on that? Wow.
Your
take is you grunt.
Well, Killers of the Flower Moon, it's up there with Zone of Interest and feel bad movies for me this year. Just like kind of exposing like a deep rot at the heart of like what humans can be and like just how evil people can get. It was crazy. It didn't feel like it was 3 hours long, like we've already touched on. The production value was insane, and you can really feel the respect that Scorsese has for like these people and their culture and like how drastic of a crime this was and like how the solemnity with which it needs to be told. You can really feel that in like every scene, even though we are lingering with the perpetrators of the crime most of the movie. Like we see them way more than we see the victims, but like it's a very interesting look into like how fucking a combination of like evil and ineptitude that you need to be, where like Robert De Niro is like fucking Satan in this movie. Like when he talks, it's like oil seeping into your ears. And then Leonardo, it almost like that was one of my nitpicks with it. It almost feels like the movie bails him out in terms of responsibility for his actions because he is pretty, like, he feels stupid a lot of the time. And so, like, that, but I didn't, like, that didn't ruin my immersion of the movie. I thought it was fucking incredible. Thought it was so good. What else did I even say about it? I guess that's all my takes right now. What do you have about it?
I thought it was great. I thought it is, well, first of all, one of the only 3.5 hour movies I've ever seen, but so consistently gripping. And like, I gotta give props to the pacing. I gotta give props to the edit just for like making a movie that long, that consistently engaging. I love Scorsese, and I thought that he nailed this one. Leo is my favorite actor by far, and I thought that this was a really good performance of his because like he has to kind of play all these things at once. Like, obviously he is just like a bad guy doing terrible things, but he's also an idiot. And like, I see what you're saying. I also feel like that's kind of central to his character, though. It's like he's kind of like this dumb, incompetent guy in a band, like outside of his uncle, of dumb, incompetent dudes. And at the same time, it's like you can tell that obviously like he loves his wife and he feels like this level of guilt. And I don't know. I just thought that was a really interesting character. I thought that De Niro did a phenomenal job of playing like the pure evil guy, but who puts on like such a kind face. And I just thought that character was great, like being, you know, in some ways like the purported like savior of the community or whatever, like the guy who's funding these things, supporting everyone, but obviously he is like evil and is at the root of like all their problems. I thought Lily Gladstone was really, really good. I thought that there was like a very just understated but like consistent backbone of the movie that she provided. I thought it was great, and I thought that the plot was like really compelling and like, I don't know, just
I remembered what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It was that the book focuses way more on the perspective of the FBI investigation into the crime, and so this version of it. You go.
Sorry. Well, I was just gonna say, isn't the title of the book like the invention of the FBI and the Osage murders or something like that? I remember seeing it at the end of the movie, and I was like, whoa.
Big long subtitle after Killers of the Flower Moon that I'm glad they cut. But yeah, that's why I was kind of surprised for adapted screenplay, because they adapt the book in like they take all of the information and make a completely new story with it almost, or just like a completely different angle to the story. Like the FBI, it's not only that they're not central to the plot, it's that like they don't even really matter until like the last 45 minutes, it feels like. Which, shout out to Jesse Plemons, love him every time he shows up. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I also I'm Just Ken is getting a lot of buzz for song this year. I thought the original song for this, I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, I felt like it was more important to the movie and like communicating themes at different points. And I don't know, I like it, and I like I'm Just Ken, and I get why it's like it had this whole cultural movement behind it. It was like a big thing for a little while, but in terms of like pretty significant song, I think the song for this movie matters a little bit more.
Good take. I will say, I am both a sucker for I'm Just Ken. I thought that shit slapped, and the entire dance fired me up.
The number was incredible, and that's another Gerwig prop, is like that whole scene, and the fight scene too, which I'm realizing is not part of the I'm Just Ken moment, but just so many good fucking like vast sets in Barbie that rocked.
Yeah, it did. My take though on best song, my honest take, I thought What Was I Made For was the best. I'm such a sucker. I keep on saying I'm a sucker for things.
You are.
I guess I am at the end of the day.
Robert De Niro would have got you, bro. He would have had you in the band.
Bro, he would have gotten me with his false promises and his empty words. But I just love I love a song by a sad woman. You know,
damn,
it's kind of that
Mitski
simple,
fan, baby.
Bro. I love Mitski. I love Mitski. I love Phoebe. Phoebe Bridgers is like one of my favorite artists. I love rocks. Snail Mail. I love Soccer Mommy. Give me all the sad indie girls, bro. That's that's my musical lifeblood. So unfortunately, I probably can't deny that, but I agree. Very good, very important original song for that one. Get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers who deposit $5 or more can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 back in a bonus bet.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code NERDS. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 if your first bet loses. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code NERDS. The crown is yours.
Poor Things. What'd you think, Jack?
I loved Poor Things. Poor Things was my second favorite this year, behind The Holdovers.
Wow.
Which, I know, like, I feel like that's kind of the vibes I've gotten from you, is that maybe you didn't like it quite as much as some other ones.
I go ahead. I'll talk about my feelings.
I don't know. First of all, two incredibly strong performances. Not just Emma Stone, but Mark Ruffalo blew me the fuck away. And they're two very different roles, where like Emma, we're seeing her like live 25 years of life in 2 hours and like grow as a person, like all of that, which is objectively a more difficult role. But Mark Ruffalo just being like this annoying, pompous, womanizing asshole that she happens to meet, and then him still being like as significant a character in my memory. I feel like that's a real testament to how good he was in this movie. I loved him so much. He was really funny the whole time. It was very funny. This is the first Yorgos Lanthimos movie I've ever seen. I never saw The Favorite. I never saw The Lobster. They're on my list now. I loved like the production design and the sets, the costumes, all of that. What did you think about it?
Well, I was just going to say, first of all, if you really like this movie, definitely go watch. I haven't seen Killing of a Sacred Deer, but I've seen the two that you mentioned. And Yorgos has like a super distinct vibe, and I really enjoy his style of comedy. Like, it's so weird. It's so awkward. Let's be honest, it's zany, but like it really works for me. Like, that's what I thought this movie did best. I thought this movie was hilarious. And Mark Ruffalo, dude, legacy performance for Mark Ruffalo. Legacy performance. We're talking Dirk in the 2011 finals, changing the narratives. This would be like if Tom Hanks came out in something next year and I was blown away. Because I'm going to be honest, I have been super anti-Mark Ruffalo.
No.
I have. Let me tell you why. Okay, first of all, his role in the Avengers as Bruce Banner / Hulk did him no favors, bro. I don't like that character. I don't like the little pathetic guy, but I did not like how Mark Ruffalo played him, bro. To me, he was always like, Thanos is coming, Tony. He was that guy. And then I love Shutter Island. I love that movie. But his role as like his quote-unquote partner, who obviously is actually working at the institution, or it depends on who you actually believe. It depends on if you believe our boy Teddy.
All right, this isn't a video essay, pal.
No, we're gonna dive into whether or not he was conscious at the end when he accepts his fate.
Oh man.
But that's a great movie. But I don't know, like I get it that like he's kind of supposed to be like this like caricature-ish 50s detective because he's not actually even that guy, but I don't know, just the way he's always like, whatever you say, boss. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Have
he
you
doesn't
seen
even talk
Zodiac?
with that transatlantic accent. No, I've heard. I saw that you just tweeted some pro Zodiac stuff. One of my best friends, who to be fair, actually my best friend. Let's just be honest, he's my best friend.
Right.
We don't always agree in movie taste, but like I think he hated Zodiac, so it's kind of always turned me off.
That's an L. Dude. Zodiac, I'm not gonna. I could cook on Zodiac for 45 minutes.
Go for it.
It's one of the best casts I've seen maybe in my entire life.
Who else is in that?
Jake Gyllenhaal is the main investigator. Robert Downey Jr. is a guy who descends into alcoholism trying to solve the Zodiac case.
Story of my
Mark
life,
Ruffalo is like a detective who is working with one of the police forces. And then there's a bunch of other like tertiary characters that are really solid as well. And it's like incredible production design. Like they went through so many historical things, making like a 1-to-1 replica of all these different crime scenes from 70s San Francisco. Yeah, it's fucking phenomenal. Have you seen Spotlight either?
No, I haven't.
He overacts a little in Spotlight. It's a little bit much, but cuz like he's from Boston and like he's working at the Globe and shit. But
gonna get in my car, go to Harvard.
Yeah, those are two of my favorite Ruffalo performances, and they're both phenomenal movies. Like even if you're not a big Ruffalo guy, he doesn't completely. He's not like a Shutter Island caliber role in either of those. So you would like both of them. They both fucking rock. But in Poor Things, legacy performance. Like we said, he was incredible. I really liked him.
So funny, dude. And I think even though it's a loaded year for Best Supporting Actor, like nobody's taking that shit from Mark Ruffalo. It was one of the best comedic performances that I can think of. Great character, but I wish I remembered some more of the exact quotes. But like his physical comedy is so funny in this movie. Just like the way that he looks around and like his energy is just hilarious. So it was a legacy defining performance. Last thing I will say on Zodiac, another reason that maybe I haven't watched it. My biggest fear in this life is serial killers. So, like, I don't like true crime. And that's in San Francisco. I don't want to think about a dude running around my neighborhood murdering me and my loved ones. That's whack, bro.
Hey, to be fair, this is almost like I don't know, is it going to happen twice type thing? Because he's almost certainly dead or too old to be killing people. And you figure all of the police around the San Francisco area really locked in to how to stop serial killers now.
No, dude, but if I acknowledge it, then I'm inspiring copycat killers, and I'm not going to be the guy who inspires copycat killers, bro. I can't have that on my conscience. So the only reason I didn't love this movie, because I think there's a lot to love about it in terms of production design, the look of it, the cinematography, awesome. Like just transports you to a different world super effectively. I really enjoyed that. I thought that the cast was great, and you mentioned both Emma Stone and Mark Ruffalo killed it. I thought Willem Dafoe, as he always is, was awesome in this as well. By the way, makeup on him, fantastic.
That's
costume for all of them. Like, It's great, and I really do like the writing. I like how Yorgos writes. Again, I think it's funny. I think it's very distinct. I like the vocabulary in this movie as well. Like, every character speaks very differently. It's very interesting. So there's a lot that I liked. And there was one more thing that I wanted to shout out. Honestly, dude, I think the thing that drags this movie down for me, I'm going to keep it a buck. It's a little too much sucking and fucking, man. It's like an hour of the movie is just sex, and I don't know, I was kind of like I get that it's central to her character, and that's another thing that I like, is like, I think it's a good I think it's a good idea for a story, right? I watched a little YouTube video essay on like the whole born sexy yesterday trope in science fiction of like these women just emerge and they're very infantile in terms of like their mindset, and yet they're like smoking hot, you know, full grown woman, and all the dudes are always trying to bang them, and like we're supposed to accept that as like a romantic thing, and it's like, no, that's weird. And this is very much a reversal of that, of like, well, she's claiming her own sexuality, she's super autonomous, and I like all that. I like just genuinely think the movie dragged because of how much sex there was in it. What do you think? Is that a bad take? Because that, I think, legitimately impacted my rating of the movie. I was like, do we need the dude crawling on the ground as well? Could we have trimmed some of the fat here?
I don't know. I didn't personally experience that. I didn't. It was a lot, but I felt like going in, especially like the introduction into the lab scenes, I was like, okay, we're just going to see some shit in this movie.
Yeah.
We're going to see dick. We're going to see balls. We're going to see things cut off of people and all that.
Yeah.
And so, like, I was ready for it. There was a lot of it, but I suppose my brain compartmentalized the Ruffalo sex scenes with the prostitution sex worker sex scenes, where those, like how you said, it kind of like seizing her own autonomy. It becomes like almost two different characters having sex, and like kind of seeing how like growth and like being your own person allows you to do things differently in that regard. And so I didn't have that problem, but I can't, like, I do see where there is a lot of it in there. And so looking at it from the perspective of somebody who wasn't down with all that, then I get that's a lot.
And, you know, listen, I'm not clutching my pearls over here. All right.
No, you are. You're going to church. You're saying ban this movie.
I'm not saying ban the movie. Far from it. You know, free the people. Do what you want, guys. But it just was like kind of a bit much for me, and not in the sense of like, oh heavens, I'm offended by this. Just in the sense of like, damn, can we get back to the plot? You know, which like I get, like that's a part of it. Like that's a huge part of her arc, but. I don't know. It's tough because sometimes, like, I can't exactly articulate my feeling about, like, well, this is precisely what dinged this movie. I just walked away from that one, and it was one where I was like, it was good, it wasn't great, and I think part of it was that it dragged in that middle section, like, especially when she's doing the prostitution.
Yeah, I can understand. You are, like, that's the thing. You're entitled to your opinion and everything.
Thank you, man.
And there were some, like, when you say we left the plot to go have sex, that kind of thing. I do, like, there are some moments where I'm like, okay, I remember feeling that way in the theater a little bit. I was like, oh, fuck. Like, we were just having this fun dinner where she was about to go, like, punch a baby or whatever, and now we're back up in the hotel room having sex. And that I get that criticism a little bit, but like I said, I didn't have that problem. Is that the last one? Do you want to cook on... What do we have
more left, don't we? Let me look. Oh, how unprofessional of me to not have all the Best Picture nominees. But you guys got to remember, this is the movie episode, baby. We're not talking about pick and roll percentiles here. We're just vibing.
We're talking about
we haven't talked zone of interest.
Of film.
We haven't talked zone of interest.
All right, let's cook zone of interest, bro. You lead off. What do you got?
Okay. I thought this movie was really great. I thought that the direction was very distinct. Very glad to see the Best Director nom at the least. And I thought that the performances were really, really good. I also just think the entire conceit of the movie is very compelling, to have this super, like, understated, mundane storyline basically following this family while the greatest atrocities in human history are going on literally, like, yards away. And I think that The use of sound, I've never been so impacted by background sound in a movie because, like, that's it, right? That's the only representation of the actual concentration camps and what's going on. You just hear, like, the sounds in the background, the screams, whatever else. And I thought that was fantastic, and I thought that it gave, like, that entire... Obviously, you're watching a movie about Nazis right outside a concentration camp, but I thought that was, like, a very effective way to just keep that constant reminder without having to, like, change the premise of the movie, right? Because if you were too on the nose with that stuff, then it'd be a different movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really, really, really good. I don't know. I guess the only reason that, like, I couldn't say it was my favorite of the year was maybe just because it was so deliberately stagnant, and it was very much just like this sort of picture of what's going on, right? And it didn't follow that conventional movie structure of, okay, here are your emotional peaks, here are your arcs and all that, which, like, I think maybe to be a perfect movie, I kind of require. Like, I don't know, I just feel like those really high highs stand out to me. But in terms of the vision for it, the execution, the emotional impact, even, I mean, again, maybe it didn't have those crazy high highs and major plot points, but, like, it was still obviously a very impactful movie just because of what was going on. It was definitely one of my favorites of the year.
Yeah, I think if you had told me going in, because I went in fairly blind. Like, I knew the concept, but I didn't know anything about, like, the plot or lack thereof or anything.
My mom told me it was a comedy, for what it's worth. Which, I don't know what the hell is going on with her.
I was sitting next to an old couple in the theater. I saw it in a fairly small theater, and they kept doing, like, an awkward chuckle at the worst time.
At what?
It was insane. I was like, what is funny right now? Like, what's funny about this?
Well,
like,
you have to consider they were probably dementing. They were probably, thinking about the wild 60s and the good times they had and had no idea what was going on in front of them.
One thing that did make me laugh in this, there's a part where the guy is talking on the phone and he goes, "Hail Hitler," etc., and then hangs up. That made me laugh. I was like, that's funny. But yeah, in terms of, like, if you had told me going in that the movie really has no plot, I don't like movies like that very often. Like, that doesn't move me at all. This movie, when I say, like, stuck in my brain, American Fiction didn't do that, I think about this movie all the time still. Like, this movie is overwhelmingly impactful. Just, like, everything that you said. The sound, if this doesn't win for sound, like, if they give Oppenheimer sound, I will blow my fucking brains out. I cannot handle
hold
that,
on,
dude.
We can't handle that. What a loss that would be.
Yeah, I mean, the sports podcasting, I got to carry the load.
Because then I would have to blow my brains out because of your loss, and then it'd be a whole thing.
Oh, man. And then Pablo and Logan are going, and then it's this whole domino
honestly,
effect.
I think they'd probably be fine. I feel like
they could link up. They could do their own thing.
They could link up. Yeah,
Nerds of the League. There we go.
Yeah, nice.
But fuck, what was I gonna say? This is probably my favorite ending of any movie I saw this year.
Yeah,
I loved the ending for this movie. So many different, like, gut-wrenching moments here. The scene, when you say, like, sound is super impactful, I really liked, there was a scene, and I don't know if this was intentional. I'm gonna give them the props for it.
Yeah.
It was like one of the laborers, the slaves, was like moving lumber into this lady's greenhouse, and the lumber hits the glass in a certain way, and I wasn't really, like, locked in, so I didn't see it happen. It sounded exactly like the background gunshots did, like, audibly, and so I was like, whoa, like, we are kind of in the shoes of the people living in this house where, like, all of this stuff, like, we are already accustomed to it, like, an hour and a half in. We're already almost, like, tuning it out for the main story. And that, I mean, yeah, like, that fucking blew me away. The weird, like, sound, like, I thought that was, one, like...
Let's hear that one more time. Dude, I will say, like... I don't know that I totally got the significance of when they would go to, like, the X-ray vision of the girl.
Okay,
like,
I did a little reading on this.
Yeah. Please inform me.
Apparently, it is like a little girl. It's like a Jewish family that is hidden in the town, and so they're eating at night, and she is going out and, like, hiding apples in the the places where the people, the slaves work, and like just trying to do their best to keep them alive and everything. It was pretty understated, and I was very confused. That's why I read about it.
Also, just like the filtering of it, like those shots, like they were, it's just so different. Okay, that makes sense.
What did I say? I liked how it treated you smart. Like, we already talked about this.
Yes, I love
like
that.
It understands that you have already, every piece of Holocaust media you have ever interacted with has taken the opposite angle of this.
Right.
And so it takes all of that and it builds on it to show you this other side. And I didn't like, there was a fair amount of criticisms that were like, this is like humanizing the Nazis. And I was like, how? Like, not really.
Yeah.
Like, I get that they are living a normal life, but like, it's like the juxtaposition that's kind of trying to show how, like, I don't know, mundanely evil people have to be for something like this to happen. I thought, it was probably my favorite movie of the year in terms of like impact and importance and like a unique telling of a story. But I also agree with you. I like movies with plot a lot as well. So like those very high highs of Anatomy of a Fall or whatever, or the Holdovers even, those, you don't get those here, obviously. You're forgoing them for a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, but I think on the point of like humanizing the Nazis, that doesn't land with me at all, because it's like, these were actual people, right? Mm-hmm. And this is actually how they were thinking, presumably. And that's what's so stark about it, is you can find yourself for moments engaged in like this story of this dude is viewing his own life in terms of like, oh man, I'm frustrated with my professional progress, and his professional goals are to exterminate the Jewish people as effectively as possible. And his wife is grappling with all these things about, oh man, this is the house where I want to raise my children, and meanwhile her husband is facilitating genocide. Like, that's great. Like, I don't know how you could come away from that and think, oh man, they're regular, they're just like us. It's like, no, they view themselves, they are still like fundamentally focused on some of the same things in terms of, this is my little life, this is my little world, here are the ways that I want to progress, here's what matters to me, while participating in these awful things. I just don't see how it's like, I don't know, like we quote unquote humanize awful people in media all the time. It's like some of the best stories. It's Tony Soprano, it's Walter White, like that's awesome. And obviously there's a historical weight that this is something that actually happened, and it's unrivaled in terms of just the scale of it. But that, to me, it's like, if you trust your audience as this movie did, they should be smart enough to understand that while yes, we're telling the story of these quote unquote like normal people, that's how they're living their lives, they're obviously doing something awful, and you never forget that throughout the movie. That is always there. So I agree. I'm not at all concerned about that.
Did you like there's so many great shots, like cinematography? I think it's gonna go to Oppenheimer, and I don't have a problem with that, but the shot of the kids in the pool as the wall is behind them and the train smoke just barely is over it. I mean, there's so many like that in the movie.
Was that train smoke, or was that? I thought that might have been from. I guess you're right. I think that was train.
It's smoke. Train, because you can hear like the.
Yeah, you're right.
In the background, but there's a different angle. I think when the mom is visiting and they're in the backyard, they like walk through the garden and you can see the camp over the wall. Yeah. There's a couple angles in that moment where you can see like the big smokestacks of the ovens or whatever you want to call them. Yeah. It was. I loved that movie, and I didn't like. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. It's like it's that heavy, but I'll never forget it, dude. Like yeah. Oh my god. All right. Yeah. Is that okay? Do we have any more?
I think that is all the ones that you've seen. I will just very quickly give my takes. Past Lives, I thought, was really good. As I thought for, again, like 9 out of these 10 movies, like even the lower tier ones, like American Fiction, I was like, that was really good. And Past Lives, I just think is a very realistic story of this sort of love that perhaps was not meant to be as a matter of circumstance and just as a matter of like the nature of these two people, but like you follow them throughout their journey. It feels very real and very grounded throughout, and they have a compelling on-screen dynamic. I would say the performances are good. It was really good. I would say, if anything, the only thing kind of holding it back is the lack of some of those high highs. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm like a plot fiend, right? Like I'm not looking for, big crashes and booms all the time. My movie doesn't need to be a plot merchant, okay? It doesn't need to be an action merchant. Like my favorite movies actually are mostly just about regular people. Like some of my favorite movies, Good Will Hunting, Manchester by the Sea, like those are two of my top 4 all time. But those are really, really compelling individual characters, like all-time compelling individual characters. And there's still a bit more of a linear motion and arc to those stories.
That's what I'm getting from this. Okay.
That's true.
All right.
That's true. That's true, dude. Casey Affleck, I mean, he's great. I don't know. Have you seen Manchester by the Sea? That's like the best.
Well, I told you, I'm scared of sad movies. That's why I didn't watch Past
Dude,
Lives.
that is the saddest movie ever.
I know. I don't got that in my bag, bro. I'm a happy guy.
That's good. But, face the realities of the world. Let's be honest.
I hate it. I hate it. Like, I'll literally... I'm never in the mood. I
listen to a little Mitski, watch a little Manchester by the Sea. You'll come away a different man.
I'm trying to think of what, like Everything Everywhere All at Once last year tore me apart.
Amazing
and,
movie.
That's, a happy movie by the end of it. I was, fucking losing it in the theater, and by the end it's chill, everything works out fine, but so for a Manchester by the Sea caliber tragedy or something along those lines, I gotta lock in, and I know once I rip the band-aid off a couple of really hard ones, then I'll be able to I'll be like, I saw this one, I can handle whatever. But
you're gonna be a big boy. You're gonna be a big boy like the rest of us, more than just The Incredibles. No,
hey, The Incredibles is sad, okay? Syndrome, he lived a hard life.
All right, I would listen to that podcast on how The Incredibles is an American tragedy. You really should watch Manchester by the Sea, though. I'm not joking. That is all right.
You watch Zodiac, I'll watch Manchester.
All right,
we'll reconvene.
Deal. We'll reconvene. We'll do 3 hours on those 2 movies. Maestro, bro, I don't have anything to say except this movie fucking sucked. And, Bradley Cooper, bro, I'm so disappointed in you. You have done so much great work, and you just fucking, you got too big for your britches,
Oscar
man.
bait, bro.
Oscar bait Maximus, dude. And it's like he spent a half decade on this. Just masturbatory garbage is all I have to say. Get over yourself,
It is kind of crazy, You do the Avengers run, you do the Guardians of the Galaxy run, you get that bag so that you can shift your focus to projects that are smaller and more artistic, and I mean Oscar baity, quote unquote, and I haven't seen it again, so I'm basing this off of the rumors. For it to fall this flat, especially in a year where one of your contemporaries, Cillian Murphy, fucking blows it out of the water, that's tough, Bradley. Sorry, bro.
And what I will say is his performance is good, but it cannot save a boring, directionless movie. And that's his fault, right? Because this was his masterpiece. This was his magnum opus. And we know that he can direct because he directed A Star is Born and he nailed it. This was just very disappointing. Most disappointing movie of the year goes to Maestro. Okay, let's do some rapid fire picks here, and then we'll give our official thoughts on the big awards. Writing, adapted screenplay. The nominees for this one are American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. What would be your pick?
I said Oppenheimer.
Yeah, Oppenheimer's a really good choice. I think I'm going to go Oppenheimer as well, although both Poor Things and Zone of Interest really well written. All of these movies are well written.
I would say the
Barbie
writing was adapted. That's kind of crazy.
I guess just because it's based on the
it
toy?
Existed already.
Yeah, I don't know.
Damn, I didn't realize how that
There's not a Barbie
works.
book. I know that. Yeah, I guess maybe if it's any IP that you're working off of. But I will say, I think that for Barbie and American Fiction both, the writing is a real strong point in those movies. So I think these are all very deserved nominees. Okay, what about writing original screenplay? The nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, Holdovers, Maestro, May, December, and Past Lives.
I said Holdovers. I'm Holdovers sweeping, baby.
Dude, Holdovers makes a great case. I loved the writing of that movie. I think I'm going Anatomy of a Fall though. Again, I thought that was like I thought that was peak dialogue. I thought that it moved things perfectly. I thought that argument scene, bro, like that's
you're stealing my time. That's like that peaks higher than the Holdovers, I will say.
I mean, dude, that scene was unreal, man. Like, that movie just captured so much humanity, so many real complex emotions that people feel, like every key character, while also just being like, whoa, riveting plot. Like, what is actually going on here? Did she do it? Did she not? Like, evidence is changing. Oh my God. Fucking loved that movie, dude. Okay. Cinematography. We have El Conde, which I have not seen. Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things.
I said Oppenheimer for this one as well.
Yeah, dude, these are some strong nominees. I will say, if there is one nomination that Maestro's bum ass actually deserves, it's this one. It's a pretty beautiful movie. There's some really good shots. Damn, I'm conflicted here. I just don't want to keep picking the same things as you, man. Even though we've only done it once.
I'm sorry.
No,
I mean, Oppenheimer, like that's
you
just
got
there's
good takes. No, you're right. I'm going Oppenheimer, but I think Poor Things makes a good case.
The breadth of shots in Oppenheimer, like there's and on top of like the fact every time I watch a Christopher Nolan movie, I'm like, this is all practical effects, pretty much. Like there's so many. Just like crazy cutaways to like shit that you're almost certain is computer generated in Oppenheimer, but it's like them sticking a camera through a bunch of oil with glitter in it or something. And so, I liked in Poor Things. It's unique and it does a lot to like communicate the perspective of Bella Baxter. But I'm going Oppenheimer here.
That's the thing. It's sort of like the entire visual experience of Poor Things is so distinct that I would want to give it like production design maybe, but then it's like, no, I think that Barbie's is even more impressive. So then I kind of go to cinematography, but I agree. Visually, Oppenheimer is fucking insane. It's insane. And did we ever get an explanation on how Christopher Nolan said that like there was no CGI? Like how are they blowing shit up?
I think it's a real nuke, baby. I think they gave him a real nuke. Shout out to the U.S. military.
By the way, we should have done this high school class style where where I ask you your take on the ethics of the atomic bomb, and I have you write me a 1,000-word essay on it. That's how we should have started off this podcast. That would have really
plot twist. It goes. I love it. I love the atomic bomb. I think
loved
it was perfect, bro. It did so much good for the world. Our world's gotten so much better since it got introduced, baby.
You hear that? Pro nukes, Jokic Joestar. Okay, sound. We've both already said. Zone of interest. Oppenheimer's there. Maestro is there. And then you got your big action movies, The Creator and Mission Impossible. I've not seen either one of those. Oh, also, when you mentioned Godzilla -1 at the start, that's basically why I didn't include visual effects for this, because I haven't seen that. But
you haven't seen Godzilla -1?
No, I think it's probably the movie this year that I wish that I had seen the most, because it's
not going to be the same on your TV. It is so fucking good. You'll still like it. TV. It's fun, but damn, dude.
Yeah. All right. Production design. We've got Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things. What do you think?
I want to give it to Poor Things. If the Joestar goes to Poor Things, but the Oscar goes to Barbie.
Okay. Okay. I like it. But at the same time, stick to your guns, pal, and pick one, you know?
Yeah.
Be a man. All right. Makeup and hairstyling. We've got Golda, which I have not seen. Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Society of the Snow, which I have not seen.
I said Poor Things. Shout out to Willem Dafoe. I forgot it was him a couple times because it's just like, what the fuck is going on with this guy? And then I don't know if like the duck dog counts as makeup. It's probably like special effects, but all those, there's a bunch of different shit throughout the movie that was like that.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I don't think that was makeup. I don't think that was done through makeup and
Christopher Nolan, bro. He genetically spliced a duck and a dog together.
And that'd be hard. Okay, music, original score. We have American Fiction, Indiana Jones, didn't see that, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things.
It's Oppenheimer. That's the one I feel. I mean, Oppenheimer's going to sweep, but that's the one I feel the least like has a separate case. Like the score for Oppenheimer is overwhelming for pretty much the entire movie. Like it makes you feel so much.
It's so good. So good. And I thought it was a Hans Zimmer score when I first heard it. Hans the Goat.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah.
It's someone pretty famous. It's like
it is. He's done other big stuff, but I like thought, especially because it's a Nolan movie, and like historically Hans has been doing all the Nolan movies.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. It's some Nordic gentleman. Shout out to him. I just had his name in front of me, but alas, he's lost his moment. Okay, editing. Ooh, this is a tough one. Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things.
For me, it's Killers of the Flower Moon, just for the time thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to overstate how hard or how difficult of a task editing 3.5 hours of shit into, like, a digestible thing is, and they knocked it out of the park. I did not struggle with watching that movie very much at all.
Agreed. I also really liked the editing of Poor Things, though. And I don't know, where do we put those little, like, transitional elements that they had? Those were pretty sick. I don't know.
Because those are cool. And then the way we talked about the editing of The Holdovers is what gives it a fair bit of its charm.
It's great.
Like, there's a lot of, like, classic transitions or camera swings and zooms and cuts and shit like that. So I think it helped out a lot with that. But, yeah, I'm going Killers of the Flower Moon.
I also think Anatomy of a Fall toggles like a lot of different kind of vibes, and I thought that was a really good edit too. But I'm going Killers of the Flower Moon because of exactly what you said. Like, to keep that sort of pace, to never feel like it's dragging, you got to give props to the edit for that one. Okay, and then costume design. We have Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things.
Who do you have?
Dude, I was going to buy myself a little time. I mean, I'm totally between Barbie and Poor Things here. I don't even think it's, like, a conversation. Like, shout out to Oppenheimer. Like, they put bro in a black hat. That was tough, but it's not the same level.
I liked all Oppenheimer's fat little ties. Like, that's fun.
Yeah.
Like, the period
let's give out costume design for a fat little tie.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, I understand that.
I think I'm gonna go Barbie. I think it's narrowly Barbie over Poor Things for me.
Yeah. I wrote down Barbie, but fuck it.
Audible.
I'm gonna go Poor Things. Production design can go to Barbie. Barbie's dream house, all that shit.
That was sick.
Costume design, I'll give it to Poor Things.
Yeah, it's very narrow. It's very narrow. I think when you look at the three that are just like, okay, how did you dress up your characters and world? Makeup, costume design, and production design, it's like those three are all going to go to some combination of Barbie and Poor Things.
And they're like, Wes Anderson, not even in the discussion, bro.
I know.
Get his ass out of here.
Stupid, bro. This is why we're starting the Joestars to replace
Joestars, baby.
The Oscars.
New awards just dropped. Hell yeah.
Let's go. Okay, let's get into the big dogs. We'll start with supporting actor, which we already touched on a little bit. This is a loaded category. We have Sterling K. Brown in American Fiction, De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, The Goss in Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things.
Robert Downey Jr. is going to win this award, but I liked Mark Ruffalo more.
Agreed. I really liked Downey. He might be fourth for me in this category, though, bro. I was honestly more compelled by De Niro as the villain. I love De Niro. I thought he nailed that part. And, like, Ruffalo and Gosling are really in a tight competition for me between, like, the more cartoonish, like, they're not playing, a layered person, but they're so fucking funny. And they're both so good. I think Ruffalo is just a little bit funnier, though. I think he's just a little bit better. And I was definitely more surprised by it because the Goss rocks and everything. You know, I already shared my thoughts on Ruffalo's previous
Shout out to
work.
Ryan Gosling. I'll do a Ryan Gosling pod with you, bro. You know, I've never seen Drive, actually. I've never seen Drive, so I got to lock in.
Do you identify as a Sigma?
Absolutely. He's literally me. That's what you guys don't understand. He's literally
Bro, I was in Barbie. Yeah, Drive is really good. I think it gets a little bit overhyped by people who are obsessed with, like, legitimately the Sigma aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. He's in
like,
a
that
new
is
one
his
coming
character,
out.
bro. He's nonverbal in that movie. Like, it is, but he's
that.
really. Well, he's not literally, but he says very little. He's very understated. Have you seen The Place Beyond the Pines?
No.
That's another I mean, Ryan Gosling does play. Bro, I hate saying Sigma because I had some friends who really started to piss me off with how much they started saying they were Sigmas. I'm like, no, bro, you're just afraid to talk to people. You just sit in corners for no reason, you freak. It's not cool.
Fucking nerd. Oh my god.
Nerd, loser. But Place Beyond the Pines is really good too. So
shout out to The Nice Guys. That's my favorite Ryan Gosling role.
I actually haven't seen The Nice Guys.
Bro, it's the easiest watch in the world. It's so funny.
Really?
It's so fun. It's not long. Him and Russell Crowe. It's like buddy cop comedy movie for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's so fun.
I will provide a counter Ryan Gosling shout out with Crazy Stupid Love. He's great in that movie. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that movie in a long time. That's such like a 2012 pilled movie to me,
For
but it is really
real,
good.
Bro. For real. I will say, I rewatched it last year. That was like one of my favorite movies growing up. And I rewatched it last year. And I didn't like it as much, but I still liked it. And I think that his performance really holds up. I mean, what a cool guy, man. That's why he's literally me, because I'm that cool. Okay. Let's go to actress in a supporting role. The nominees: Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks in The Color Purple, Bumerica Bumrera in Barbie, Jodie Foster in Naiad, and Devine or Divine Joy Randolph in The Holdovers.
All right. Let me how to pronounce Devine Joy.
Until
Randolph.
then, I'll buy us a little bit of time with takes on Anthony Randolph. Anthony Randolph, a lot of you guys may not remember, but he was a decent power forward. Those are my takes on Anthony Randolph.
Okay, it says
Zach
Davine.
Randolph.
It says
Davine.
Davine
So we
Joy
were 0 for
Randolph.
2.
Well, she is winning this award. I would be shocked. I would be shocked if anybody else here won it. Like she, you hear like the movie doesn't work without this role a lot. Movies don't work without roles a lot of the time. That's why the roles are in there. This one, it's the emotional core of the most heartfelt movie of the year. It's an incredible performance.
Agreed. I don't even know if I fully appreciated it in the moment. And then I thought back and I'm like, wow, she really held that movie together in a lot of ways. Like, it's very understated, but it feels very real because of that. Really good performance. I haven't seen Naiad or The Color Purple, but when I was watching The Iron Claw, dude, like, I don't know, there was something wrong in this theater. They hadn't closed the doors or something. Mm-hmm. Like, Iron Claw had so many sad and very quiet moments. And as we were sitting in those, we would hear this booming, joyful musical number from The Color Purple. It was like the most absurd thing, dude. So I guess
that was
shout out to that was a
problem with Killers of the Flower Moon around a lot. Was people would see it on the same days. They would see it on the weekend, and the Eras tour was in theaters. And so it'd be like this, like I don't know, her mom just saw the owl and died, and it's this incredibly like poignant moment where like, what the fuck is going on in this community? And then it just like, I knew you were trouble, like just through the fucking walls or something. I saw a lot of tweets about that.
That is electric. Yeah. Shout out T Swift, dude. It's her year. Year. I will say, though, if we're talking other award shows, which we will do now for a second, Grammys,
Perfect.
How the hell did she win Best Album, bro? Midnight's, you know what? I'm not a Taylor Swift hater at all. I like Taylor Swift. Midnight's, bad album.
I like Taylor Swift. I'm not tapped into the Taylor Swift circle. I understand
let's get you tapped in.
I understand that she's talented. I like some of the old songs.
Are you scared for your life right now? Be honest.
Absolutely. I don't understand why she's like the most famous person on the planet. It is a little confusing to me.
It's a little
shout out
confusing.
to Travis Kelce. Shout out to everybody. You know, I'm glad everyone's happy. She's making bread. She's flying around. Fucking good for her, I guess. But just a little bit. I'm stupid, you know? I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm not smart.
Say that. Well, the only way you would be stupid if you aren't realizing the link between her and the Biden crime family, because that much we can all see. Yeah, listen, I like Taylor Swift. I will say some of her newer stuff. The album Folklore, it's kind of the sad indie vibe that I was talking about. It's a really good album. And, you know, she's got some throwback bangers. But Midnight's not it, bro. And you freaks who cry every time she releases a song need to settle down. Settle down, guys. We're all laughing at you. Okay, let's go to Best Actor, period. We have Bradley Cooper in Maestro. We have Coleman Domingo in Rustin, Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction.
It's got to be Cillian Murphy. It's got to be. And we talked about it. Paul Giamatti, my motherfucking guy.
Shout out.
I would love to make the case for you here. I just can't. It's Cillian Murphy.
It's Cillian Murphy. I agree. You know what I was thinking about the other day, though? There was some sort of, that's right. I watched Love is Blind with my girlfriend and some other friends. Have you? So, you know, it's honestly a pretty fun reality show. But there's a whole discourse about this girl who says she looks like Megan Fox. And she kind of does, but there's some noticeable differences. Anyways, it just got me thinking, like, what if somebody said that your celebrity lookalike was like Paul Giamatti or like Steve Buscemi? You just have to sit with that. Yeah, I know.
I'd be really upset.
Would you be mad, or would you like crumple and like entirely change your perception of yourself?
I'd think about it a lot. I'll tell you that much. Like I'd be alone in the shower, like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I look like Steve Buscemi. What do you mean?
Yeah. What are you talking about? I'm bug-eyed.
Oh my god.
Good actor though. Good actor. Okay. Yeah. Best actress. We have Annette Bening in Naiad. We have Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon. We have Sandra Hüller in Anatomy of a Fall. We have Carey Mulligan in Maestro, and we have Emma Stone in Poor Things.
Pretty stacked category. It
is. It's strong.
And so is actor is stacked as well. But I said Lily Gladstone. I think I really liked her performance. It's super important that you kind of communicate all of these different things without a ton of lines for Killers of the Flower Moon to work. It's almost like the inverse of Emma Stone's performance, where like everything is on her shoulders by doing like all this shit all the time. Everything is on Lily Gladstone's through like very little opportunity to communicate it, and I think she does it in a phenomenal way. I would have no like problem if Emma Stone won. I would be very surprised that the Academy like denied Lily Gladstone this award though.
Yeah, she's gonna win, and I would have no problem with that. But I guess I would kind of make the inverse case for Sandra, who would be my choice, which is like Lily Gladstone does a lot of that quiet and very valuable stuff as the backbone of the movie. But I do think that Sandra just kind of carries the movie to a different extent. And I don't know, I really loved her performance. Emma Stone, I would hear the case for too. She does a lot to carry that movie. She plays a very distinct character, but that would probably be my number 3. Just like I felt that the seriousness of the other two characters was maybe a little bit more impressive when you're talking about, I don't know, best actress.
You're the problem. You're the problem. You know, the seriousness.
Because I don't like being silly.
Oh,
no.
Yeah. You can't respect
silliest
the
guy
art
around.
of a goofy. You can't do it. It's fine.
I'm the silliest guy around. Watch this.
Whoa.
Jazz
stop. You're too silly, bro. You're too silly.
It seems today that all you see.
This Family Guy? Is that what we're doing now?
I'm singing the Family Guy theme song. I'm crazy. You never know what I'm gonna do. I can put a hat on.
No, that's not silly. That's
all right.
just a brand. That's all it is.
You want to see silly? Give me 5 seconds.
All right, I'll fill the air. Everybody, there's this patreon.com/.
I'm in pajama pants too, by the way. How silly is that?
That's not silly. You're lazy. You're a bum. I put on a collared shirt for this. Patreon.com/State of the League. Go check it out. $5 a month. You get a bunch of free stuff. Extra podcasts of the State of the
Whoa! You've never seen a guy this silly, have you?
Oh, that is pretty fucking silly, bro. I've never seen something like that.
I'm the problem, pal. I'm the problem.
You're part of it. I mean, you can't. Whatever. Pinocchio. All right, yeah, it's fine.
His hat is way too small to fit on my head. Way too small. And I didn't even... Bro, I have a full-on... I could have put on my whole sleep... I have a sleeping gown and cap right here. With some nice glasses.
Why do you have so much fucking costume shit off to the side of your setup?
For the sake of comedy. I have a Timothy Mozgov jersey right here.
The
All
Nets
of this
Mozgov?
ready to go.
That's gnarly, bro. Oh my god, you're a one-man play. You should write something where you wake up in your Timothy Mozgov.
Yeah, dude. Well, you know, maybe I will. So anyways, obviously I'm pretty silly, guys, so let's not let that slander get to our heads. Okay, best director. This is a very interesting one. We have Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall. We have Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon. We have Nolan for Oppenheimer. we have Yorgos for Poor Things, and we have Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. Who you got here? Who wins the Joestar?
Oh. Okay. The Joestar goes to Jonathan Glazer.
I like it.
Because when you have a movie that has no plot, the directing is essentially carrying it, even more than like the performances are, especially when the performances are specifically told to be mundane. It then falls onto the director's shoulders to craft this like horrifying narrative that we see in the end result of the movie. The Oscar is going to Christopher Nolan, and I have no beef with that. Like, I have to, like, imagining the production that went into this in terms of like the scale of the movie and all of the different spaces that we cover and all of the insanely famous people that he got on board and synchronized their schedules to be in this. Like, it's a feat of directing. It's incredible. I like what Glazer did slightly more, but not to outweigh like how this is the culmination of Christopher Nolan's career in the Oscars sense. I would never really argue against him getting this award.
Agreed. This is a loaded category, bro. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that these are the correct 5. I mean, shout out to Alexander Payne for the Holdovers. Like, he nailed it.
Shout out Omaha, Nebraska, baby. OG.
Oh, really? Shout out.
Yeah.
Big ups. Big ups.
Shout out to
Go Huskers.
Election, I think, with Reese Witherspoon. That was shot in a high school in my hometown.
No way.
Yeah.
Shout out. Big ups. And now would you like to present your family address for doxing? The opportunity now.
Well, they live by, let me get a good landmark. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. There's too many serial killers that listen to this podcast. Clearly, if you're gonna inspire copycat killers by talking about Zodiac, then I gotta chill out.
Yeah. I like to think at the same time that maybe I could prevent all the hatred and violence in the world with this here cap. That's kind of the point of it.
It is pretty silly. It's hard to be mad when I'm looking at that hat.
Pretty silly, man. Pretty silly. And then imagine if I was doing a little dance. Imagine if I was doing a jazz square. You couldn't be mad at me. Dude, this is a loaded category. I agonize. Scorsese nailed it. Nolan nailed it. Yorgos nailed it. Like, all of these movies, I think, are so specifically great because of the vision of the director. I honestly think my final 2 are Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest, though. And I think I'm going to go with Zone of Interest, too, for the reasons that you laid out. It's like, when I think about Anatomy of a Fall, the direction is amazing. And I think that the editing is amazing. I also think the performances are amazing. And the writing is amazing. Like, it's a little bit more of an entirely complete movie, whereas I would more specifically attribute the direction of Zone of Interest to like why it's brilliant. We talked about sound, obviously, and the performances are good, but when you think about somebody who can take, like you said, like a mundane plot and make it that compelling and that profound, like, that's the director. The director gets the most credit for that, so I'm glazing Jonathan Glazer on that one. And now, Jack, we are at the grand finale. Best Picture. The nominees: American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest.
Oh my God. This is the first year I've really locked in to awards season and like watched everything. It can't be like this every year. Like, it's
not, dude.
Like this
last
is so
year,
many.
Last year, there was some garbage. Let me pull up some of the nominees from last year. It's first of all, Elvis was nominated last year.
Crazy.
Like, I know that people.
He's what?
He's what? Yeah. You think I killed Elvis? You killed Elvis.
Tom Hanks, no, you're too silly.
Tom Hanks, no. But he's not good silly. I will say that movie is a fun watch because it's so bad. Okay. Like Avatar: Way of Water, I get it. Like, that was a feat, but like, come on. Top Gun Maverick is the same thing. That was nominated last year. Top Gun Maverick, I didn't see. I know people loved that, so I don't want to rag on it. But I kind of suspect that it lacks some of the artistry in most of this year's nominees. But I shouldn't judge a movie I haven't seen. But anyways, yeah, it's like it's not as compelling a selection. This year, really, really good.
I mean, because this is fucking again. The award is going to Oppenheimer. It's fucking. Yes. I can see it from a mile away.
Yeah,
and I'm fine with that. Fuck. I wish I had had a chance, like a week, to watch it again. Because like I said, I think that second viewing, which having to watch a 3-hour movie twice to really feel the impact of it, it's not it's not phenomenal. I don't want to have to do that, but I do understand how maybe like understanding what's going on a little bit more in the plot would make that last hour hit harder. But fuck, dude. I wrote down the Holdovers for the Joestar here just because I loved it so much. But I like. Anatomy of a Fall is so good.
Yeah,
and so, yeah. I'll say the Holdovers, but I don't give a shit. Any of, like, the top 6, top 7 after, like, American Fiction, I'd be like, like, you can't argue against that. It's just, like, really good in its own unique way.
Yeah. No, I agree, dude. Like, I could see the Poor Things case super distinct. I could totally see the Killers of the Flower Moon case. Like, it's almost a bummer that such a great Scorsese movie is not going to win. But I think it's Anatomy of a Fall for me, dude, which is not going to happen. It's like you said, Oppenheimer is going to win this award. But when I think about the movie that I enjoyed most end to end, that I felt, again, both riveted by and that there was a real, authentic, emotional core to it, like that movie just nailed it. It took you through different phases, all of which were super enjoyable. Fantastic movie in a fantastic year. The one year that I will say that was better than this in recent memory, 2019, bro. Let me read out to you the nominees from 2019. Okay. Keeping in mind, movies like Knives Out, not there. Uncut Gems, not there. 2 of like my top, 40, 50 movies of all time.
Yeah,
I love both those movies. You even had, this was back in the day when there were actually good superhero movies, man. You know, like things that were enjoyable to watch, weren't just recycled garbage. Endgame was this year. But anyways, the actual nominees. 1917, really good. Ford vs. Ferrari, really good. Joker, pretty good. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, really good. Parasite, one of my top 4 movies of all time. The Irishman I actually haven't seen, but I've heard great things. Little Women, really good. Jojo Rabbit, really good. Marriage Story, awesome. That's insane. I think that's even better than this year.
Damn, dude. Fuck. Yeah. I don't know. Well, I'm glad I locked in this year then, because this this was very fun. I loved all of these movies.
I agree, dude.
It fucking rocked. It's incredible. Jojo Rabbit is so good, too.
Jojo Rabbit is so good. That's...
And Parasite's one, like, I wish I had seen that in theaters. I didn't. I wasn't, like, a theater guy back then. Like, I used to just watch movies at home a lot more.
You thought you were too cool. You were just smoking dope.
Yeah, like, I was like, you can't do everything in the theater.
Right.
But, like, yeah, now, like, because I went in blind, and I was watching on my laptop, and I was like, when all that shit happened in Parasite, if I had been in the theater, in the collective experience of everybody being like, whoa, like that. Yeah, dude, that would have made it hit. It already hit insanely hard. It's like one of the highest highs a movie has ever had for me. But, yeah, I wish I'd seen it in the theaters, because that's fucking crazy, dude.
Amazing movie. I did see it in theaters, so let me flex on you real quick. All right. Dude, thank you for giving us 2 hours of your time here. It's just me sitting in my Pinocchio hat here now. But hopefully you viewers enjoyed. Real quick, since we've had all this movie talk, I do just want to ask real quick, what's your favorite movie? Like, not of all time.
I don't know. Let me grab my top 4 on Letterboxd.
Give me your top 4.
My top 4, it's loading. I know off the top, it's Fantastic Mr. Fox, Howl's Moving Castle, Zodiac, and The Truman Show. But The Truman Show is on the fringe for me. I haven't rewatched it in a long time. It feels like a very entry-level take. I don't like the other people who like The Truman Show a lot. Oftentimes it's like annoying people.
Because they think we're in a simulation. They think it's really
shit
about
they're
us.
like, I'm like Truman. I'm like, nobody's like Truman. Okay,
Nobody's
calm
like
down.
Truman.
But I did rewatch
a fake world.
No Country for Old Men very recently, and that's a very different vibe than the rest of my top 4 that I would like to shout out as well. I fucking love that movie. It's so good. It's so well made, and it's very gritty in a way that Fantastic Mr. Fox and Howl's Moving Castle don't really hammer home.
No, but Fantastic Mr. Fox is, I would say, the best kids movie ever. Like, I think it's fair to call it a kids movie, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not serious. It is serious, and it tackles serious things like
right.
I love you, but I shouldn't have married you when they're in front of the waterfall. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's a crazy thing to say in a kids movie. But
no, I don't mean to. I'm not trying to downplay at all. That's my favorite Wes Anderson movie. That's one of like my top 20 movies. I just mean, like, you know, it's a children's story originally, The Roald Dahl. I saw it in like 3rd grade or whatever when it came out, but That's an amazing movie.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing movie. And The Truman Show's really good, dude. Don't let the people who like it bog you down, because that is a really good movie. You know, it wouldn't be in my top 4, but like Jim Carrey, dramatic Jim Carrey, bro.
Jim Carrey, bro.
Baller. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. He nails that movie. Like,
I never seen it because I'm scared of sad movies.
Ooh, watch it. Matt Sponhour will tell you it's actually a happy movie.
Well, he's a psychopath, so that doesn't surprise me.
And he's wrong, but he feels pretty strongly about it. But yeah, I've had that conversation with him. All right. Anyways, if you guys want to talk to Matt Sponhour, he's in our Discord, okay? The one and only Matt Sponhour, that's right, is in the Nerd Sesh Discord. You can join that at the link in our link tree. But other than that, go check out Jack everywhere at Jokic Joestar. Just killing it, man. Awesome on TikTok. Awesome on Twitter. The boy's been blowing up on Twitter.
A little bit. You just tweet all day, every day. Something will
He's
pop
figured out how to tweet. He's figured out how to tweet. That's fun. Go listen to the State of the League podcast. Go join the State of the League Patreon. Do you want people to follow you on Letterboxd since we're talking about movies?
At Jokic Joestar on Letterboxd. If you watched the full 2 hours of our movie breakdown, follow me on fucking Letterboxd.
Yeah, do it. That's great brand consistency. Jokic Joestar everywhere.
Everywhere, baby.
Anything else you want to plug, man?
No, yeah, just Jokic Joestar everywhere. State of the League podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Free episode every week, and then another episode. It's not free. You have to pay $5 on Patreon. That's the whole. Yeah. That's the whole spiel. Thank you for having me on, man.
Of course, dude. Just an absolute joy. Hope you guys liked this. You know, it seemed like something fun to do. I think that we both had takes to get off our chest. I don't know if I explained why Logan wasn't here, but Logan just, what a meathead. What a Neanderthal. He doesn't know cinema. No, I'm just kidding. It's just like, it seems like we were both kind of exceptionally into the whole, Oscars thing this year, which I've never been like this before.
It's fun. It's a different kind of... a different kind of take. Like, there's no real evidence in the way that you have to talk about sports. Like you could just say whatever the fuck you want in this space.
Yeah, you really can. I said there was too much sucking and fucking in poor things, and you had to sit there and you had to take it. Is why
Whoa.
Oh, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here before things get any more off the rails. I've been Carson Breber. This has been Jokic Joestar. This was Nerd Sesh.